Alright, finally got around to getting this video made and done, so I want to go over some quality of life stuff I think would be good to add to Stella Sora, so let's get right into it. First off is the damage number toggle. An option to turn off the damage numbers primarily due to visual clarity. Maybe another option to consolidate the damage numbers, similar to what Zone Zero has. It's technically already in the game with the boss resilience is broken. It'll show you like the total damage number. But while this would help with visual clarity, the special effects still might be an issue. The thing with special effects though is they may not completely cover what's going on, unlike what damage numbers have been doing. So you can still kind of see what's going on. But, I mean, there are times where it's like impossible to see anything of what's going on because the text of the damage numbers just completely covers enemies. I don't know how this has not been resolved in all this time or how it even got past testing, but it is primarily an issue with smaller enemies, making it much more of an issue in Menace Arena. Energy overflow or an increased cap of energy. There's not much to say about this one. I don't think it's too big of a deal. I mean, I rarely hit max energy. However, it would still be nice to have. It's just a nice little convenience. Event disc availability. Make past event discs available in a shop. I think it sucks to miss these discs and have no way to get them after the event is over. I personally have them all, but it sucks for anyone new coming to the game to not have them available in some way, especially since the discs are pretty good. As for what shop to put them in, I was thinking the Cataclysm Survivor shop would be the one to put them in. However, they'd be competing with the discs that are already in that shop, and the event discs would be the obvious best choice of discs to go for and get dupes of. So I'm almost leaning towards putting them in a new shop. Not entirely sure, honestly. What I am sure of is that they should be obtainable after events end. Upgrade material breakdown. The ability to break down upgrade material to a lower tier. It's nice to be able to craft higher tiered upgrade material with lower grade ones, but why can't we break down higher tiered materials to lower tiers? It's not a big issue, especially when the last level for characters and discs don't require any tier 1 upgrade material, but it's just a little convenience to have. Not too big of an issue. View stat totals and record information on a pause screen. Maybe I'm dumb and don't know how to navigate the pause screen, but honestly, the information on the pause screen is rather lacking overall. At least that's what I think. Find it rather odd that we can't see what record we're using after we have begun playing as well. I also think it would be useful to see what each character's current stats are, which brings me to the next thing, record stat totals. A button that shows stat totals for all characters when viewing records. It's rather odd that we can see the totals of characters individually, but not when they're in a record. Not just potentials, but the bonus stats from the record score also affect the character's stats. So to be able to see what those stats are would be rather convenient. Now, this is probably a bit much, but some potentials have certain conditions to be activated. So the ability to select potentials in the record when viewing the record and have them reflect on the total would be really nice. For example, you toggle potential on by clicking or touching it, and then the stats for the characters change. It would help in seeing accurately what impact certain potentials will have. That, or just have a record or potential test arena to go to where we can select whatever potentials to have in a record and be able to test them out on dummy enemies. It would be greatly helpful in figuring out and testing builds of characters without having to go through a full ascension run and not get every potential or max out certain potentials that we need to test certain builds. Custom potential recommendations. To be able to select certain potentials to be recommended during a monolith run. or Ascension run. Maybe a different colored thumb up or something to signify that it's part of a custom build. So this is how I'm imagining it. So the player can select 6 potentials, not including 2 pink potentials. So that would mean there's a total of 8 that player would select for a custom recommendation build. Now, these custom recommendation builds can be made for both the main and support spots, and they are separate from each other. It isn't like you just have one for each. No, you have one for main slot, and another for support slot. Because there are some characters, you know, that can be in either one. I think these custom recommendations will help both the sharing of builds within the community as well as help with the identification of desired potentials during a run, making Ascension runs go smoother. Emblems. Now, I gotta talk about emblems for a little bit here. There's obviously an issue here, but, well, let me just first say, personally, I don't have too much of an issue with the RNG of emblems. You know, RNG is RNG. And yeah, sometimes it really sucks, but it's part of what keeps a player coming back and attempting to improve their characters. I mean, we all want that elusive 110 pen. Also, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but emblems are a significant determining factor dictating success in endgame currently, like boss splits. And honestly, I'd rather it stay that way. Now, as for targeting stats, since new characters are going to be released and emblems cannot be shared between characters, I don't see it as much of a problem for people to want a way to target specific emblem stats. However, I'm a bit cautious and worried about that being done. It could make something like having 110 pen become a standard, and would make talents for characters stronger and more desirable. I don't know the calculations of it all, but my intuition is telling me that someone getting lucky with getting 110 pen on one or both emblems even significantly helps a player compete with someone who has talents unlocked on their characters but doesn't have as much pen. Maybe my intuition is wrong on that, and again, hopefully someone can let me know. I understand the frustrations with RNG, but that's just kind of part of these games. I personally don't think it's that big of an issue, even if they can be frustrating. I do think the cap of the usage for the WD-40 should be removed though. We already get a rather limited amount of them, so I don't see why we can't use more than 2. Now, there's also another problem with, I think, is obtainability for these materials. So I was originally going to say that there should be a game mode that allows to farm emblem materials without energy, and I'm not throwing that idea out completely just yet. However, I think I'm just going to suggest that the emblem trials give more emblem materials. Like, I'm almost thinking it should be at least double. Like, the frequency of new characters releasing, which means new main events, which then means less emblem material farming. I think we're just not able to obtain nearly enough emblem material. The overall issue, I think, is just the obtainability of emblem materials is just lacking. Some will say that for the upgrade materials too, but the end of upgrade materials isn't dictated by RNG. Like, we're gonna be, you know, farming emblem materials just for one character for a rather long time because of RNG. Now, I said that was last, but there are also some other smaller fixes and things that really aren't too big of a deal, but they're just a little something. The Heartlink invite menu, unresponsive when skipping it. Currently held Dora not visible in inventory. Seems to only be able to be seen when detailing Dora or going to upgrade something. And a keybind for mouse and keyboard for toggling auto battle. And that's about it. If there's something I didn't mention here and you think would be a good quality of life change, comment down below. And if you think these changes in quality of life features are good, also comment that and let me know. Feel free to share this video. Next, I want to make a video throwing some ideas out there for additional content for the game. I think that would be enjoyable to do. I was originally thinking of putting them in this video, but I figured that'd just make the video too long, and I want to try to make smaller videos and condense them more. So anyways, if you got to the end of the video, Thanks for listening, and I'll see you.